I've told my stream many times that I've been to therapy. Sorry, I've had people who have got married, then people who have had kids that have met in the chat or in the comments of my streams.
Hey, I'm Katie J, and welcome to Young Scot's podcast. This is How I Feel. This podcast is all about having open and honest conversations focused on emotional well-being. And today we are really looking forward to talking to Gary all about gaming and mental health. Now, you might know Gary as Marley13 on YouTube, where he shares gaming content. So let's get into it. Hello.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm alright, yeah. Thank you for having me here today.
Oh, delighted to have you. And thank you for not wrecking my living room.
That's alright. It's a very, very cosy living room. I've been inspired.
Really? You're going to get some big old plants?
Straight to some unnamed furniture shop straight away.
And a neon sign
And a neon sign. Got to love a neon sign.
It's pretty good. Now, as a bit of an icebreaker, Gary, we want to get to know you a wee bit better. So we were wondering if you had to pick your ultimate gaming or streaming team for Call of Duty Black Ops 6, even I've heard of this, who would be in that team?
Well, that is a tough question. I'm going to let a lot of people down, actually, thinking about it. There's going to be a lot of names wanting to be in there. I'd have my pal John running crutches. I'd have Noodles91, Scottish gaming legend. He's not very good, but he's just there for the banter, you know.
Team morale.
And I maybe just throw in a professional Scottish COD player, Mark AB, just to, you know, carry us.
Do you know what I like, though, that you started with your mate?
Yeah.
You didn't go in for like all the A-listers right away?
Because we've got the chemistry, but that makes a difference.
Absolutely. You're not going to wind each other up, no?
To an extent, but I think we push each other, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's lovely. More about John later. I need to know, right? We start this podcast by asking people genuinely to, like, how are they feeling? Which is a question I think that gets thrown about a lot, but people don't really deep it. We do the, I'm okay, are you okay, are you okay?
Yeah.
So how are you feeling today?
Honestly, I could just say, oh, I'm good. Yeah, brilliant. Honestly, I'm a wee bit stressed, I'd say. Not like specifically right now, obviously, but overall a wee bit stressed because I'm coming into my kind of busy period.
Okay.
Like the new Call of Duty's coming out soon. And I'm going through a lot of changes on my YouTube channel and stuff, like a lot of changes that I've not done in, you know, you're talking 12 years doing this. So
wow.
Yes, big changes. So I've had a few sleepless nights just thinking, you know, am I making the right decisions and so on. So yeah, a wee bit stressed, I'd say, but you know, overall, I think I'm in a good place outside of work, you know.
It's one of those ones though, when you tackle something new and it's a big change, there's that stress, of course. It's so relatable, but also that bubbling, like, what could be excitement.
Exactly, because your mind automatically goes to, you know, what if this is rubbish? You know, what if this, you know, falls apart? But at the same time, what if it all works out? What if it's great? You know,
You've obviously been doing something right for the last 12 years.
Yeah, to make it to this part, yeah, I know.
So I have a little faith in your instincts.
I'd like to make it to 13 years though. Yeah.
We got this. We got this. Well, thank you for taking a break to come and chat to us amongst the chaos and the kind of new exciting things brewing. I need to ask you about the kind of link between gaming and mental wellness. Do you think that it's been beneficial for your mental well-being, being a gamer and being online?
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, obviously played a lot of games, and gaming was a great escape, especially during some, you know, tougher times. I've been through periods of depression and that, and gaming was always there as a good escape. But at the same time, there's a fine line between gaming being a positive escape and then almost becoming a destructive, I don't know if addiction's the right word, but you kind of know what I mean.
Like a crutch. Yeah,
when it becomes the only thing in your life, that's probably when it becomes, you know, something that you need to kind of think about. But overall, it's been a positive aspect of my life, because when you get into a game and you just lose yourself in it, you lose hours, especially when you're not playing the game, all you can do is just, you know, time drags so slowly, and you're worrying about things, but being able to escape in a great game is a positive thing, definitely.
I've got quite limited, you know, experience in this, but I do know that time is a different construct when you are immersed in something.
Yeah.
Like, I remember thinking I'd been playing The Sims for like 20 minutes and it turned out it was 4 hours.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And especially like late at night, again, it can be a fine line because you'll be playing a game and you'll be like, yeah, all right, okay, I'll just do this one last thing, maybe half an hour, and then we'll go to bed. And then, like you say, like 3 hours has passed, and you're like, could still do another wee bit of grinding here or that on the game. And then, so you've got to rein it in at some point, don't you?
Set alarms.
yeah.
It was interesting we were talking about your sort of dream team earlier on, because I think that a lot of people, and potentially if there's any kind of parents listening as well, it's one of those ones where you think, oh gosh, the kid's never off that game, like, and I'm worried that they're not socialising, they're not meeting people.
Yeah.
But there's a whole community out there, right?
Absolutely. People think that, well, not so much these days, but there's still people out there that think gaming is just purely an isolating kind of thing. You're just locked in a dark room, just playing a mind-numbing game. You're not actually, doing anything positive. But I'd say most of the time these days, people are gaming with friends, whether they know them in real life or know them online. Doesn't really matter. I consider all those kind of friends the same. And it is social.
Yeah.
Like, not to go on too much of a tangent, but especially during lockdown,
Of
that's
course.
all anybody was doing. I had friends who I hadn't played games with in years, like from school, who were texting me saying, I've just got a console, when we're jumping on. Like, and it was great, especially when no one had anything else to do. It was such a great outlet.
It's amazing because in that time, lots of people did drift apart or become more insular. But to have had that moment where actually you're reconnecting with people.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good word. Yeah, reconnecting. That's exactly what we did. Yeah.
Amazing. And you've turned this, obviously over quite an extended period, into not just a hobby and a passion, which is so important for everyone, but into an actual, profession.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, sure. It started when I was 16. Well, I made my first video when I was 16, but when I was like 14, 15, I found American YouTubers making Call of Duty videos. I just thought that was so cool. Yeah. And again, this was especially at a time where I wasn't doing great mentally or even doing great at school. So not only was the game an escape for me at the time, but watching these YouTubers was a great escape. So I'd watch these American guys make Call of Duty videos, and it got to the point where I was like, there's no one Scottish really doing this. Like, as much as I like watching these guys, no one I can really relate to.
They're all too positive.
yeah. And then they don't speak like I do or whatever, that kind of thing. So it got to a point where I thought, I'd love to try that. And that was even before, I knew you could make money on it, but it wasn't like...
Not an everyday thing.
No, it wasn't.
It felt like it was the exception to the rule.
Yeah, it was not normalised at all at that point. It barely still is these days. But so they inspired me, and I eventually saved up enough money for the equipment to record videos and microphone and so on, and just started making videos, and I went for there. Yeah,
it's a big deal for a young lad who you said was yourself really struggling at the time, and also just like to find your voice in that way is really powerful if you weren't finding it in the everyday.
I wasn't, and honestly, anyone who knew me back then, friends, family, that would be the last thing they would ever think, that I would be somebody who would, be a YouTuber, put themselves in front of a camera, microphone, whatever. I was pretty shy back then, to be honest, but for some reason, I think it was just because I was passionate about it. So when you're passionate about something, you're confident in that specifically. It doesn't really matter how you're feeling elsewhere in life. I'm confident about this, and I wanted to do this. Yeah.
And did you feel that sort of rubbing off on the day to day?
Eventually, I would say so. Yeah. I'd say I'm a totally, obviously, it's a long time ago now. But I wouldn't be as confident as I am now if I didn't do that. Yeah.
So this was all happening when you were at school then?
Initially, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't in school for too much longer after I started. You're probably talking, I was doing YouTube for about maybe half a year when I was still at school. I didn't tell my friends I was doing it though.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you, because I remember posting some like really disturbing karaoke footage on YouTube, and people found out, and it became like, I was like, mortified, all this kind of thing. Not because like I didn't like doing it, but because I didn't really want them to know I was doing it, if you know what I mean. It was like it was for me. Yeah. Which is just lol. But did you have any moments where you met with that kind of experience?
I know exactly. I bet your stomach dropped as soon as you got a text or whatever.
I'm like, I'm just trying to sing Jessie J.
I know, just trying to live my life. Yeah. No,
it's confronting.
I know exactly what you mean. So how it eventually worked out for me was that I had a video. It didn't exactly go viral, but it got a few thousand views, which was a really big deal, especially when you're just starting out. And one of my kind of closer pals who did know Call of Duty YouTubers, that must have been how he found it, because it would have been in his algorithm, whatever. He eventually found it and told other mutual friends. And see, at this point, I hadn't actually spoken to a lot of these mutual friends in months. I didn't even just like leave school properly. I just left. Okay. It was one afternoon. I was just like, nah, I can't go back to this. So I hadn't spoke to them in months. They hadn't seen me in months, but they found this video, and they thought it was great. They thought, they were like so supportive. I think they were just happy that I was, you'd
found your groove.
I was doing something. And I have actually thought a lot about this over the years, that, would they have been as supportive if it didn't have any views? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think over time, I'm like, no, I think they would have been supportive of it. I think they would have been happy for me. It wasn't, they weren't like cringing or anything at it. They were like, good on you.
Yeah. They were proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so nice.
And that made such a difference at the time as well.
That could bolster you and make you think, well, actually, hang on.
Yeah, it did.
Well, I suppose your goal was to be a relatable voice in that forum, and you saw it in real time working. Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah,
so cool.
That's right.
So cool. You've come a long way since you were, a wee boy figuring it out.
Yeah,
for sure. And you've done a lot of good for mental health charities and all that through your platform. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, over the years, we've, not just myself, but other Scottish YouTubers I've worked with, we've done quite a few campaigns for mental health charities across Scotland. And like I was just saying, it's just always been important to me, because I've been through it myself, and still go through it. It can still happen. So it is really, really important to me that spread the message and help these charities get the resources they need to help people.
I know it's pretty gross to like toot your own horn here and talk about exactly what you did, but can you tell us?
So one example is myself and other Scottish YouTubers. We actually had a football team that we would play charity matches, and all the money raised from ticket sales and sponsorships, what have you, would go towards like the Scottish Association for Mental Health we've raised money for before. I've done a few live streams over the years for them as well. Really, really cool opportunities, and at the same time raising money for a great cause.
Yeah, and you can sort of tap into why that is so important, and why it is so important that someone who speaks like you, looks like you, has your same sort of life is out there doing it as well. It is. It's important to. It's just so much easier to relate to somebody, right? Yeah.
And that just goes back to again why I wanted to start doing this.
Absolutely. Now, there's obviously so many positives, and you've created such a force for good. So. Thank you.
To an extent.
Well, you're a part of it, but you're a part of something bigger, which is amazing. Actually shining a light on these things. People who maybe their coping mechanism was the same one that you had, and maybe just saying like, listen, I get it, I hear you, and also raising a bit of money for charity is always good. Yeah. When it comes to the negative voices and things online, I mean, we see more and more of it every day, and people have to kind of moderate their comment section and watch out. And these are people who are just trying to live their lives, And obviously when you're putting yourself out there, that happens tenfold. How do you deal with any negativity that you might see online?
As in like towards me specifically, like comments and stuff like that?
Just like, the people I'm talking about. The ones that hide behind. Exactly.
Yeah, so over the years it's changed, because at the start you don't have that thick skin. It's something... it's one of the most common questions you get asked for obvious reasons, and over the years it would be easy for me to say, just ignore it, whatever, just ignore it, but you can't ignore it, especially not at the start. So at the start it's just so important to just filter it out as just nonsense. It doesn't mean anything, as best you can. It's not, don't ignore it, but just acknowledge that it just doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah.
And over time, you do build up a thick skin. It doesn't. I laugh at some negative comments I get these days. They're funny. The ones that hurt more these days are the ones that are actually constructive criticism, saying, Marley, I think you could have done this scene better. Those are the ones that actually
just tell me you hate me. Don't give me advice.
Exactly. slag me or something. Anything but tell me I messed up this bad gameplay.
Worse when you agree.
Yeah,
and you're like,
that's true.
God.
When I'm like, you've actually got a point there.
I hate that.
Get them blocked.
So
So yeah, it is a tough one. Over time, you do build up that thick skin.
It's not something that anyone should have to get used to.
No, you shouldn't. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And I'd say also at the same time, just know people also have your back as well. Yeah. These days, I'm very lucky that I have that audience that, if anyone does ever come in to say live streaming is trying to, be horrible, be toxic, like, see, even before I see it, I've got other people, shutting it down.
Like moderating the conversation.
Moderating the conversation and, just trying to keep things as civil and positive as possible.
Absolutely. I think that you get it on. I mean, it's so bad that we've just had to accept this as
bad that it's normalised.
A salient part of reality. Yeah, it's just like, they're going to be there.
Yeah.
They're going to be there, that's it. But I wonder whether in gaming it's maybe heightened because there is like a level of like, not cosplay about it, but it's like people are in a character persona, they're totally away from reality.
Like there's a level of anonymity, is that the right word?
Anonymity, yeah.
No, you're right. People do say things that they would never say in person.
Yeah.
Which is that's crazy to me. That it's just crazy to me as well, because it would never like cross my mind to do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably sure when I was younger, I probably did say some nasty things. Yeah, but it's when you get grown adults, saying toxic things like, "Do you not know better?" Sometimes, honestly, when I used to stream on Facebook, and on Facebook, when somebody comments, it's their actual personal account. It's not like a random. It's not like Fluffy Cat 375 commenting on the video. It's somebody's actual personal Facebook. And sometimes I would actually, just out of curiosity, I'd go on it and I'll be like, you'll see somebody's called me the most horrible things ever. Go on a profile, it'll be like, loving father of 3 kids. It was like, what? I don't understand that at all. Yeah.
You see people sometimes, they'll actually reply, which is a big, bold move. If someone sends them something really negative and they'll reply, and you'll get this whole spiel of like, "Oh, I'm actually really love you and I'm really sorry, I was just having a really bad day."
I've had that before. That is strange as well, yeah. I don't get that. I mean, I guess they just want your attention, but yeah, you'll be like, you reply to it and somebody will be like, "Oh, I'm actually just a big fan." Like, well, no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, like, well, that's not how I'd speak to Taylor Swift. So wind your neck in. I think the idea of negative commentary, as we sort of discussed, is something that bizarrely, and I'm not sure if this is good for anyone, we've all become immune to in certain ways. But it feels different when it's coming to you. And I think some people listening might have had this maybe at school or college or whatever, where potentially the person that's making the comments and you can see them on your posts and grappling with that. If you had to give, like, obviously you've grown up online, you've really had quite formative years doing this. If you could kind of go back in time and speak to your younger self and give them any advice about going through that, what would you say?
Wow, that's a good question. I would...
Because if there's ever been a moment when you're growing up when you're thinking that one really hit me, or something that happened really shook me up.
Yeah. There's been times where I've stopped, doing certain, series or certain, don't know how to put it, just certain ways that I did things that I stopped doing because people were not even constructive feedback, but just like nastiness about it. I'd maybe go back and say be more headstrong about that, stick to doing that.
Because, taking that on board potentially limited your excitement about doing something.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it comes to change. Like, I'm actually going back to what I said at the start. I'm actually going through that right now when it comes to change. Making a big change with a series that I've been running for 2 years. By the time this comes out, I probably will have changed it. I have a Call of Duty bingo series where I play bingo, but it's based on things that I see players do in the game. I've done these videos for, at this point, it's 90 odd weeks in a row.
Are you speaking in baby terms? I love this.
And it's got to the point where, unfortunately, the game's not changed that much, and I don't like things getting stale.
Sure.
I'd rather I'd hate the idea of somebody getting bored. If I do put it that way, I'd rather not do it and people begin to get bored. So it's time for change, time to change up the series or just stop doing it for a little while. And, you know, I've had some constructive feedback comments about it, but I have had nasty comments about it as well. So I'm trying really hard right now to think that this is the right thing to do here. It's time to park this for a while, focus on something else, come back to it. So I'm actually going through it right now.
But it's important for you to be inspired by the content you're putting out there as well, right?
Exactly. It's the same for any YouTuber or any streamer. You've got to be passionate about what you're doing. And as much as people really enjoy the series, maybe I'm not enjoying making it so much. And eventually that's going to come through. So I'd rather not get to that point.
Yeah, no matter how good an actor you are.
Yeah.
You know?
People know when, you know, when, I don't know, some celebrities doing some endorsement, you know, when the heart's not in it.
The ads, and you're like, you've never used that cream.
Yeah.
I know, that's a facelift.
Yeah, here's this motor oil or something like
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, like there's no passion there. You can tell a mile away. So I really would like to avoid getting to that stage. And I think in the end, most people would be like, you know, that's fair, that's good. I actually appreciate that, because nothing worse when you're watching a series or whatever and it starts to get, you know, the worst thing to hear a comment is, this isn't as good as it used to be. I think that cuts through really, really deep, because that's got so many layers to it.
Yeah.
That hits the ego.
Well, I was going to say,
like that.
yeah, how do you kind of take that on board but avoid getting super introspective about it and thinking like, what have I changed? Am I the problem?
Yeah.
And question, like, I was going to say your integrity seems really a tough word to throw in there, but like, if it's still me doing it, like what has changed?
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
tough, especially in the kind of Call of Duty scene. Call of Duty is always changing year upon year. So some years Call of Duty is, you know, absolutely amazing. It's flying. Everyone loves the gameplay. And then other years, there's a lot of changes that people are not really a fan of. So I've kind of gone through that. Some years, maybe I've not been enjoying the game as much, but that's the game I play. That's my niche. I have to stick to it. And it's just so important to try and find ways to make it fun. Firstly, for me, yourself, whoever's doing this, and then the audience should notice and hopefully enjoy what you're putting out. Because it'd be so easy for me to just put out like rubbish stuff that I'm not really that interested in, that would make more money than stuff I do as well. So yeah, it's so important to be a bit passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah, and for you to have pride in what you're putting out there. And
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Earlier on, you mentioned that, you know, when you started, it was you were looking up to these kind of American YouTubers who were doing it, and you've also referenced some other Scottish creators that you admire. There is no playbook for this. Do you feel a little bit at times that you're like, are you taking inspiration from other people, or are you just thinking, right, this is up to me to work out what's next?
Yeah.
Like, where does that influence come from?
Always taking inspiration, like from all kinds of sources as well, whether it's other streamers, whether it's, you know, a TV show or that. Yeah, there's inspiration everywhere, but at the same time, there's times where you can't Google what you're trying to do. That's
exactly.
Although that's when I know I'm actually on a good track. When there's no other resource for this, that means I'm must be the first person to do this, or one of the only people doing it. So that's when I actually get excited, when I actually have to figure it out myself. So yeah, there's a lot of inspiration out there. One of my kind of heroes is Limmy, who had Limmy Show on the BBC, but he's a full-time streamer these days. Yeah. He's living the dream. I hope to be where he is.
And then you get a sitcom as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd be great. So yeah, he's inspired me a lot over the years.
Yeah. Amazing. So dry as well. I feel like it's really a testament to, you know, if someone who maybe doesn't understand what's going on in the game, but they just like you, and they're just watching it because you're sound.
He's so unique as well, and he's quite inspiring that there's no one else like him.
Yeah.
So if you know, he's just nothing but himself. So I'd like to try and be that as well.
In the process that you're on right now, I don't want to go all like interrogation mode, shine a light in your eyes, but is the thing that you're doing now something that you are having to make the rule book yourself? You haven't seen other people doing it?
A little bit, yeah. Some elements of it, yeah. Which again, it's exciting, but it's stressful at the same time, because you're just trying to figure it out. Thankfully, I've had some time to figure it out. A lot of the times it's tough because you're trying to figure this stuff out, but also at the same time do what you would do anyway. So it's trying to just kind of put in little elements here and there, see, kind of gauge a little bit of reaction here and there. just say little teasers and stuff like that to see how people react, or maybe just actually confide in someone like I trust, like a long time friend of the channel, moderator of the channel, see what they think, and then go for there. Yeah,
it's lovely, isn't it, that the people who have supported you along the way end up being collaborators
part
in a
of it,
sense.
yeah, exactly. That is one of the great things about streaming, is that people can just become so involved. Like I'm actually going to one of my moderators their wedding in Canada next year. Like, how cool is that?
No, stop.
Yeah, they became one of my moderators back in lockdown when I was streaming on Facebook. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That's so special.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Yeah, they actually came over from Canada last year as well, to spend time with one of my other moderators, because they're pals now. They spent a whole week in Scotland. They loved it. Yeah.
No, this is amazing.
Yeah. It's really nice. I've had people who have got married, and people who have had kids that have met in the chat or in the comments of my streams. That's crazy. Yeah.
You're not best man or anything, are you?
No, not yet. I'm still waiting on that invite. I've had a few pets named after me, but no best man.
No. No, I need to know more about this. Dogs, cats,
both.
iguanas?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, Marley's a good. Obviously, it's a good dog name. Yeah, everyone knows that. It's quite sad, but yeah.
You had to lower the tone, didn't you? Make everyone cry.
Let's move on to that. We're still in the cards. Yeah.
That's so amazing. Did you have an element beforehand of being like, these people are here and it's amazing they're supporting me, but still like, eek, stranger danger? When did it cross the line?
To
where
an
you
extent.
went?
No, that's a good point. You do have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
It's a good point. I think, because live streams are just instantaneous and it's back and forth, I think you do learn quicker someone's personality versus one comment on a video like once a week or that. So you do actually learn pretty quickly, because something will happen in a stream and I'll actually, like regular commenters, regular viewers, people in the community, maybe something will happen on the stream and I kind of know already what certain people are going to comment, like inside jokes here and there, which is quite nice to have. So yeah, you do pick that up quicker on a live stream, I'd say.
I feel like I need to pick your brain and ask you for some advice, because I've started going live on TikTok, right?
Okay.
And it's quite a weird one, because in my profession you are talking to people but you don't get a response. Like, it's very much
That's
a
right.
monologue,
Yeah.
And when you have that interaction, of course it's affirming and it's great, because you're feeling seen, feeling heard, and you have a relationship. But it's wondering whether, are they my friends, or am I like in not a parental role, but do I have to be more, it's a difficult one to navigate. But you're so right. I know exactly what my girls are going to say when I do something.
Yeah.
Usually it is like, Katie, that's so embarrassing. but that's okay. And there is a real bond there. But working out how to kind of keep that professional. But I guess these are your colleagues.
Yeah, to an extent. Sometimes over the years, some people can think that, see, when they see me every day, and I'm talking back to them every day, but I am talking back to them, I'm also talking back to a lot of other people.
Yes.
It's a bit of a strange one, where it's not on the same level of, I don't know, friendship, you know what I mean?
And sometimes, like, you don't actually know what they look like.
Yeah, that's quite odd.
Fundamentally.
Talking to a transformer.
Yes, exactly.
Could be
that's
anybody.
my favourite transformer. Like, love you so much, but if you're sitting right here next to me, I might not know that that's you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a tough one to balance out, because it can also go the other way in terms of, I have had unfortunate circumstances over the years where maybe someone's actually not going through a great time themselves, who is usually quite nice in the chat, but maybe they're not going through a great time, and sometimes they've tried to take it out on me, like their frustration with something else. And I've had to say before, listen, I am not a punching bag. Like, do not take this out on me. And also, it's not fair on other people in the chat as well. So I think I've always tried to keep my chat nice and friendly, like really, really strive towards it. Again, not to go on too much of a tangent, but I always think as a live streamer, your chat is a reflection of you. If someone's toxic on their stream, you go into their chat and you know exactly what it's going to be like in there. It's going to be a mess. So I always try to keep my chat warm, friendly, positive, and not let anything like that fester.
Sometimes I think, thinking about it with like mental wellness at the fore, it can be quite challenging sometimes when you've got particularly young people opening up in a very public space and saying, you know, asking for potentially advice to do with their mental wellness and their
That
mental
happens,
health. Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? And it's lovely and comforting in a way that you are a comfort to somebody, that they feel they can be vulnerable.
Exactly.
But also fundamentally, I'm not a therapist, so like, how do you deal with that?
Exactly what you just said is being straight up and saying, this is important. I am not a therapist. I'm not a professional. Like, I can say positive things. I can try and, you know, take your mind off things, distract you if you're going through a tough time, but I'm not here for professional help. Please seek professional help if you need it. There is plenty of resources out there to get you started. Yeah, I've had to say that quite a lot over the years, actually. I try to take that quite seriously, because you never know, you know, how serious people's mental health problems are.
100%. And I suppose that's where the relationship that you've got with Sam H and various other charities and things, you know, they're looking up to you, and to see you acknowledge that support and signpost in a way, and let your audience know, like, I get it.
Yeah,
these are the people to talk to. It's quite powerful.
Yeah, I've told my stream many times that I've been to therapy. Like, it's no. Well, I say it's no big deal, but it's not
a dirty secret.
Yeah, exactly. It's not anything at all to be ashamed about or anything. It's you know, it's important that you get health. You know, if your leg was hanging off, you wouldn't be like, I'm not going to the doctor for that. Come on. And yeah, do you not find it so frustrating though when you've got like someone in your life that maybe could do with some professional help, but they just refuse to hear that advice? You know, I find that really frustrating.
And I think as well, when you are sort of, not to say, similar to what you said earlier on, not to say that I'm completely healed and that we're not on a journey with it. You know, it is a constant process. But to a certain extent, you're sitting here going, I'm proof. You know, you saw me when I was in a really bad way. Yeah,
well, I'm proof in terms of what I did was CBT, which is... so a lot of people get the misconception that, you know, if I say I've been to therapy, people's first instinct is me sitting on a big long chair with somebody, you know, with a notepad, listening to my life story. It's not. CBT is great. CBT is actually learning skills. It's you actually, I don't know, like basically qualify at the end when, you know, the therapist is like, yep, I'm happy that you've learned the process on how to deal with these things, and, you know, you don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what CBT is fantastic.
And you've got those tangible kind of strategies for when you feel yourself getting to a place.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, don't get me wrong, like exactly said, it's not, you know, there's no exactly finish line. You're never healed. Yeah. You might even need a top up every now and then just to remind yourself on the processes. But you definitely learn skills that don't go away after that.
Yeah. So you don't, and if you do feel yourself getting to a place similar, you know what to do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
When I hear you, it's so frustrating when you're like, girl, you need therapy. And they're like, and you're like, no, here's a number. Yeah. Like, you know, you need to.
Yeah, and it's especially from a guy's point of view, you know, guys are just so stubborn with that, especially. I think it's, I don't even need to, like, obviously I'm not going to name people, but, you know, there might be certain people that listen to this when they hear, like, I'll say, you know, I did this, you could do with this, and they'll just say something like, I'll just deal with it how I usually deal with it. And it's
so
like,
not.
Well, how's that?
Yeah.
Working out, you know, it's trying to help somebody without, you know, making the situation worse. You know, you might put too much pressure on someone, but you just really want to help them. Yeah.
These are some options for you to think about in your own time.
Yeah.
Did you come to the conclusion to go to therapy yourself, or was that external sources advising, or something you'd seen? Yeah,
well, I'm going to sound like a bit of a hypocrite here, because, you know, I did get kind of not pushed into it, but, you know, heavily
encouraged.
But encouraged is the word. Is a good word. Yeah. But by it was one of my best pals recommended the therapist that I went to.
Wow.
And she was great. She was everything that as helpful as he said she would be. And, you know, I'm don't get me wrong, I'm so privileged that it was private therapy, so I'm so privileged that I could, you know, afford to pay for that. You know, let's not get it mistaken that there can often be a long waiting list for CBT and things like that. I've been on, when I was younger, I was on a waiting list that I never actually got to the end of, which is quite scary to think about. You know, thankfully I didn't need it as much as other people on the waiting list, obviously, but, you know, it's quite scary to think about. But
it's frustrating because you've made the effort to go and ask the question and say, I need help here, and then you're at the back of the queue.
Yeah, exactly. So but coming back to that, it was him and my girlfriend who helped me. It's kind of weird these days. My girlfriend's actually in the process of becoming a associate psychologist, so it's kind of it's not like having therapy at home, but you
actually are on that couch every night.
Yeah, sometimes we'll have a conversation. I'll be like, "You doing therapy with me right now?" Yeah.
I recognise this.
yeah.
How fantastic!
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. Yeah.
What a legend.
Yeah.
So she kind of give you that little nudge.
Yeah. She'd obviously notice things, notice maybe changes in mood, or recommend changes in lifestyle or that it can make a difference. Yeah.
Do you think it's a Scottish man problem?
Yeah, well, it's not just a Scottish man problem. Yeah,
but that kind of like, I don't need help. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm getting on with it.
Yeah,
like I do feel like, and there's been a big conversation around this recently, that men are often in these circumstances the last people to ask for help.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so powerful, to have yourself and others advocating that it is okay.
Yeah, I think it is getting better, but there's still a long way to go in terms of the awareness of men's mental health.
Yeah.
For sure. It's just bizarre when people just think, I'll just, like I say, I'll just deal with it how you usually deal with it. What is that? Just not doing anything? And hoping it goes away, hoping it gets better. Yeah, it's really frustrating.
I think that back in the day, probably though, if you're watching some American streamers and things, there's a sort of very different approach to things like talking therapy in the States a lot of the time as well. It's like like I go to therapy every week, and we're only kind of catching on.
They're almost like infuriatingly positive.
Yes, for sure.
Times, yeah.
It's like we've just like decades later gone, oh right, you mean I can talk?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Can you give us any more intel on what the next big exciting project is, or do we have to wait? I don't want you to
I would just say
break any embargoes.
No, I would just say that I'm almost going back to my roots in terms of videos that I did, in terms of the still Call of Duty, shock. I'm not changing it up to The Sims.
Animal Crossing.
But I'm just kind of I'm going back to more my roots in terms of video style and particular game modes and that I'm playing. So I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm sure a lot of people are very excited about
Hopefully so, yeah.
Yeah, especially your man in Canada. Please do a speech. Don't even ask for permission, just get up.
Yeah, and wear a kilt. Yeah, represent.
Are you going to wear a kilt?
Yeah, need to represent. Yeah.
You've got
I think they'd be disappointed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like if you turn up in a suit, you're out.
Yeah.
Booted from
I won't
the
get
party.
through the door, nah.
Do you have any advice to someone who might be on a slightly smaller scale possibly, but experiencing that negativity in their inbox at the moment?
I mean, the first step is just to tell someone about it, right? Whether it's a parent, guardian, teacher, you can confide in. You would hope that they would also have the resources and know the right people to help you, not only get through that, but just get help overall. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's such a tricky one to actually go, I have this issue, but it's better than dealing with it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much pressure on you at that age to be cool and be
figure it all out now.
Yeah, to figure it all out in one go without instructions. Yeah, I think they'd be surprised how quickly you will actually get help to go through something like that.
Have you had that moment where you've gone to someone in your life?
Yeah, I would say my mum.
Yeah,
I'd always go to my mum for something like that. Yeah.
She's like, I'm going round their house right now. I'll give them what for. Yeah. No one better.
No, there's no one better to go to now.
No, absolutely. This has been great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who's tuned in for listening. Remember, if you need help or support with how you're feeling, Young Scot has tons of information for you at young.scot/AyeFeel. That's young.scot/AyeFeel. Do you know why we've done that?
No.
Because we're Scottish. Yeah. Please get the slow nod.
Seen that coming, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. If you want to follow Gary's work, then make sure you're following him on TikTok using @Marley136. Do you want to give the backstory there?
That's right. I'm somehow verified on TikTok, which is it's like
Big
gold
flex,
dust trying to find a verified tick. Yeah, no, not bad. But I'm also the 6th Marley 13 account somehow. Yeah. TikTok, if your people are watching, can I get the Marley 13 handle on
and
TikTok?
The thing is,
please?
it's just people's dogs and cats
Yeah.
named after you.
Yeah.
Marley 13 6. Also, don't forget, if you are under 26, then make sure to get your free Young Scot National Entitlement Card with thousands of discounts in Scotland and across Europe, subsidised public transport and a whole lot more. Visit young.scot/card for more information. Finally, Young Scot members can claim 100 reward points for listening to this episode by visiting Young Scot membership and typing in GAMER for your points code. If you're not a member yet, visit young.scot/membership to get started today and earn points for activities and access exciting rewards. Smooth. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of This Is How I Feel. And if you have, then please rate, review and subscribe to us, which means you'll get instant access as soon as the next episode drops. Looking forward to next time already.